Okay, so you have any questions so far, like from our previous session?
No, I think we are good. The only question is if the things you write, if not the lecture, like if these slides could be shared, like these notes.
Yeah, these can be shared, and even the training video, I'll share those too. So, okay. So, then I'll ask the question. So in IT, work is performed in form of projects. Okay, so what are the project team members usually, like, what roles are in the project team?
So there are in project team, we have developers, quality assurance, architects, and business analysts, and product manager itself.
Okay, so project manager, yeah, definitely. So there is basically the roles in that, you know. uh, So role in there, the project manager, business analyst, and then certainly the other roles that are basically there in the project team. Okay. All right. So, and the total team members are usually what's their kind of, how many team members are there in any like normal project?
5 to 12, it depends on.
Right, right. So it depends on the nature of the project. Usually like, 8 to 12 people.
Doesn't it also depend on how many people we want on the project?
So this is basically like, usually organization wide is there, like how they do project, but as a standard in a IT project, there are like, 8 to 12 people.
Okay.
Okay. So, and secondly, like, here the work there are, because these are the corporates, and corporate doesn't uh they make a lot of money, so they do work in a very basically, comprehensive way. Okay, they don't just like, try to save money and then basically like, have half people working on that and then execute any project. So they have a kind of full-fledged team to work on the project. And usually like, IT projects, they, if you will like, as a system wise, if you think, they are sometimes just kind of, very very small changes. Okay, so but if you will see that how many people working on that and what was their budget, you will be like kind of surprised. Okay, but then still, if you will see the impact or the money the company is gonna make with that feature or change, that is basically like humongous too. So that's why the companies basically like spend a good amount of money on projects to, so they can make more money. All right, and okay, I some Moise joined too. So Moise, any question from our previous discussion?
I had just one question. So all the other like system analyst and all like the business
Hmm.
analyst and all those people, are we gonna hire them, or are they gonna provide us with the people so we can choose from them, or are they gonna give us the team? You know,
All
are
right.
we only,
Mhm.
and are we only just
Okay.
gonna give them like how many hours we need? Like how does this work?
Right. So first thing is that's very good. So so usually hiring is done by their like the hiring managers, and so basically like uh as we spoke in the last, that as a project manager that you will be working, so there are two scenarios. Either you will acquire the people. Okay, so I'm talking about just a role if you're working as a project manager. Okay, so so one is acquiring from like the people who were like business analysis manager. Okay, so that is like business analyst team manager. So any BA, it's gonna be hired. So business analyst team manager will hire a new BA. Okay, so they are and similarly development manager, they will hire the people. So you will, as you are getting the estimates from them, similarly you will get the people too. When you are starting execution, you will get the people too, that how many people you needed for the project, and you will get that from them. They're gonna hire, and they're gonna put on your team. Okay, similarly the QA managers. So to answer your question, there are like the organization where that is basically primarily hired by their respective like the managers or groups, respective groups. Okay, but still in some companies as a project manager, you are asked to basically facilitate the hiring process too. Means that if they don't have team members who are available and they need to hire, they may ask you. They're gonna basically be their hiring managers, and they're gonna open basically working with the HR with that company, open a request to hire somebody, and while the hiring process you might be involved. Okay, that is the second scenario. The third scenario is where you have to hire those like basically development, like you are responsible to hiring, and that process of opening a requisition to hire with the HR and all that, you like kind of manage that. Okay, but
Okay.
in most of the organization, that is managed by their like the different teams, their development managers and business analysis manager and QA managers. They hire people.
Okay, I have like one last question. So you said we
Sure.
have to tell them how many hours we have like for the business analyst or the system analyst, right? We have to tell them how many hours do we need, and how are we
So
gonna
for mm-hmm.
so
Go
how are
go
we
ahead.
gonna figure it out? Because like everyone's like productivity is not the same, right? Maybe something you can do it like 5 hours, I might need like 10 hours to do it. So how can we tell
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
them like, okay, I need like 10 like 70 hours for business analyst, like 100 hours for this. Like we don't
Exactly.
know how they're
Exactly.
gonna work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
how do
Yep.
we
So
do
that.
that?
Mm-hmm. So that is very good question. So similarly, as I, how you start in the project planning, when you starting like kind of, uh, mm, mm, getting information from the stakeholder, basically what you are asking, and the technical stakeholder like business analyst and analyst managers, they give you that estimate, like and those are basically estimates. It can be like more or less, doesn't matter, but those would be estimates, but those would be given by the business analyst manager and development managers, QA managers, those basically the leadership who are basically experienced in there. So they have experience to give judiciary estimates, that as an estimate, if some business analyst with this caliber will work, they will needed these much number of hours. So to answer your question, you are not putting any information, you are just gathering any information from your side yourself. You're just gathering. And to answer your question, yes, you will not know how much business analyst hour are needed, or system analyst hour are needed, development hours needed. You will not know. Okay, until you speak to these like the technical stakeholders, development managers, or team leads, or QA managers, business analysis managers. So those will tell you those estimates. Make sense? And they're gonna tell you in estimates in hours, and that is usually basically organization kind of standard. The estimates are in hour, then those hour are broken down into basically like weeks and months, or whatever you need, you can convert those. But as a unit, hours, they're gonna tell you that. Okay.
Okay.
So so any other question?
I have a question.
Sure.
The thing is, let's assume if it is some kind of software development project, or
Mhm.
it is a data science or machine learning algorithm
It
project.
can be any projects, any
It
projects.
could be any project.
Right.
And then we have our managers, like if business analyst managers would be there would be data science manager, a kind of who would be handling data science team. The project manager who connects with these managers to combine this team or takes these people from them. That project manager who has no knowledge of that project,
Mhm.
we can say that let's somebody coming from computer science and somebody coming from MBA, who would be a more better project manager in terms of and who the company will value if we are applying for a project manager. This is like little bit confusing for me. Like as a computer science, the roles are more considered to be a software developer, like technical things. So if you
Okay,
are
all right. Yep.
okay, got it.
All right. So usually, like, if you will, if I'm an organization and I'm hiring people, okay, so I would put basically somebody from MBA side instead of somebody who has like a, like computer science or some technical, like who been developer and now they that person is project manager. I will put somebody who is like from MBA side who has nothing to do with the technical stuff. Why? Okay, so you ask, like, who would be better for the project. The reason for that, if we have somebody who is kind of worked as a developer and a lead, so that person will have their specific kind of experience. Okay, that person has their own point of view on any projects or anything, and that they will not be act as kind of unbiased role. Okay, so here the project manager, you will see, it has nothing to do with the solution of that, basically, like, what is going to be solution. The project manager is not going to basically contribute towards that solution. Okay, so when we have somebody who has knowledge, they will unintentionally try to contribute in some of the solution, and unnecessarily, because their role is not to contribute into the solution. The solution will be done by the solution team, and then and which basically like comprises like all that architect and all the developers, all the testers. That is basically the solution team, and that solution would be coming from them. They are like kind of 7-8 different brains. Okay, and if we have some strong headed project manager who has experience in like coding, that will kind of overshadow the value that bringing like 11, 7 people, 8, 9 people are bringing, and they will try to force some basically solution from their own experience, which might not work. Okay, or these like 7-8 people might not be able to kind of open up and contribute in their full to the projects, if they have somebody like who is mingling with their basically like job. Okay, so to answer that, the project manager has not as a requirement, does not need the knowledge of the system, or the knowledge of that business process, knowledge of data science, or any particular thing, except the project manager need to have that skills to manage the project. Okay, and understand his role as well as like the role of other people, so that he can basically manage it in a better way, and facilitate the team to get like the best of class solution. Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so that's why in a industry, you will see in most of the time the project manager they are kind of they don't have like ID background. I worked with a project manager who just did the simply BA, like be a bachelor in arts. Okay, they have nothing to do with the basically art. They were just high school. They have nothing to do with the technical, and they were working on big data projects. Okay, which is like totally kind of based on data science, AI, machine learning, and everything. But those were working as a project manager on that, and they were working very successfully. Okay, so That's why, as whatever the background is, you can work as a project manager, because you are this is not a technical role. Okay, this is a non-technical functional role. Okay, whose job is to basically, do the project planning and execute that project and make sure that manages risks and all that. Okay, so anybody has any other question? Okay, all right, so in our last sessions, we studied basically, first we discussed our concept of IT, that what is IT. Okay, and then we explained like IT means business. Okay, and the business mean any type of business, like either it is like every business that is being operated, okay, has a major part of the business operation that is done using IT. Okay, and mm, and all those is considered basically IT. Okay, so we went through that, if an example, like any physical business, if we will see today, for example, the retail business, say Walmart, 60% of their business operations uh, are done basically using softwares, okay, for physical business. And then Walmart has their digital business, that is walmart.com, their digital shop, and there almost 90% of the business processes are done by using softwares. Okay, so all those, either it's a software or solution needs for like physical business and our digital business, that's all is IT. Okay, and then we discussed like within this IT realm, the red line you're looking, 80% almost, 70 to 80% part of this is basically the operational side, which is we simply call the business side of the IT. Okay, and only 20 to 25% is core technical teams, or the people who actually write and test the codes and make softwares. Okay, 70 to 80% of the people are the functional people, the leadership, who decide basically, discuss and decides what's the need of the business, the business leadership on the the physical business side, on operation side, and then there is a marketing, HR, all those like folks are non basically technical. Okay, and then we discuss that in IT, work is done in form of projects. Okay, and a project is by definition simply a piece of work which has a starting point and an ending point. Means like it starts at some point of time and ends at some point of time. Okay, and broaderly, project has these phases, like initiation, then planning, then execution, which comes under both development and testing, and when it is done, then basically closure of that project. So then we discussed a little about initiation, that how projects got usually initiated. Okay, we discussed their triggers. Okay, and what were the triggers? Anybody? Anybody still not? So
Honestly, I'm not so sure.
right, yeah. So two basically main triggers, these are basically business opportunities or business problem. Okay, so these are either the business is trying to grab some opportunity, or they are trying to resolve some problem they are having. So these two are basically the triggers of any project. Okay, so then we discussed that use your imagination and consider that whole holistic basically organization, where kind of you have a basically whole organization from CEO down to basically um, VPs, okay, directors, Okay, I need to take one call, so I'll just give me a moment.
Hey, is it just me or are we not like speaking or talking right now?
Hello, sorry about that. So I had an important call, so I have to take that. So okay, all right. So let's Yeah, so I was discussing that there is a whole organization, and we were talking that think about that, okay, and then under these organization teams work, okay. Then portfolio managers, okay, and then under the portfolio there are programs, and then basically project manager. So there's like a whole line, and there then basically within organization there might be like hundreds of teams working on hundreds of projects at a time. Okay, so in that complex environment, then considering that complex environment where you are working, so they on the business side they are continuously working, and what they are continuously working and creating, they are basically creating whenever they discuss any opportunity or problem, and the result is project request, okay, which is basically turns into an IT project. Okay, so that is there. So they are creating requests. So as the business are not like, they are not starting now. They are basically from decades and years. Okay, and they have been building this system and solution for decades. So they had all those businesses have like thousands of projects in their pipeline, because either the projects get executed or not, but it doesn't matter, they still keep creating their projects, okay. And then basically their leadership, then they work with the IT side leadership to first their leadership internally decide what is important for them, okay, what requests they have to send to the IT organization, and then they work with the IT. When IT gets the request, they know their capacity, they know that their team can complete whatever the current team they have, it can complete 200, 300, 1000 projects in a year. They know that, okay. Based on how they know that, based on their historical record, historical basically performance, and then estimates that how they are basically working. Based on that, they can estimate that how many they complete. It can be plus minus, but they have those like the kind of judicious estimates, okay. So by doing all that administrative stuff, then projects come into existence, and by going through multiple filter, okay, it comes to basically project managers, okay. And usually project managers are the basically member of a group. That group is called like project management office, okay. So that hierarchy we did discuss that too, that within the like the tech side, there is like business analysis and the project management group, and then technical core teams, and there is also like HR, there is also kind of finance, all those different department that exist in any organization, because this the IT side, this is organization within the organization, okay. And similarly they have multiple that's why you will mostly see United Health Group, means like there is kind of group of companies, like they are so organized that they have created a big companies which like support each other, okay. And then basically as the project get assigned to the project manager, they start working on the project, okay. And all that knowledge for the project manager, how it is just for you to understand that what project you are working, it's kind of how it is basically coming into existence. Nobody is going to ask in any interview these question or stories that tell me that how projects is like, because as a project manager it's nothing to do with you that how come project come into existence. And anybody who will be like interviewing for project manager, they will like be evaluating that you can manage a project, you can do the task, you can do that project planning, and then execute those planning successfully, and what is your track record, what is in your previously completed projects. That's what all they would be asking. Okay, so with that said, we also discussed that in an IT projects, what different team members are there in any project. Okay, so we discussed there is like project managers, there's BA, there is a like a system analyst, there is a developer, there is a like a QA. So usually like 8 to 12 people, sometimes 14, 15, sometimes 20 people in a project, depend on the nature of the project. Okay, so and then one additional thing that I want to, so there is a core project team. Okay, so core project team, and then there is a shared resources. Okay, so they are core project team is usually start working on a project, start from the other end, and they are usually more 100% dedicated. Okay, so these 8 to 12 people are mostly from the core project team, and then there are shared resources, and resources being shared, other people who are working on that project, and those shared resources, data analyst or scientist. Okay, enterprise architect. Okay, tech leads and tech managers. Okay, all those are kind of the shared resources which, based on the need, they participate in the project. And you can say sometimes they have like 20 to 50% contribution. Okay, in the project, but the core project team is project manager, BA, developers, QA. These are the core team members, means who would be working from almost start to end. Okay, make sense? Any question? Nobody has any question? Okay, all right, so these team members, they are basically who would be working. Now questions comes like how they comes into the project picture. Okay, and who is the first person who is starting to any project from these team members? So that is the question to you. What do you think, based on our discussion so far, who would be the first person who will be basically starting working on any project from the core team or shared team? Anybody?
The project manager.
Yep, that's totally right. You guys are genius. So project manager is basically the first person who start working on the project. So now keep that in back of your mind, like as the project got assigned to the PMO office, they distributed the project to their project manager, and then one like usually project manager is working on 1 to 2 projects as a standard at a time. Okay, so 1 to 2 projects they have at a time as a project manager. So when they gets assigned, so project manager has to work on what project manager has to work on all these project phases. Okay, the project manager has to work on all these project phases, right? So that is basically like, so project manager is the person who is working from like, before the project start execution till the closing. So that is that, the project manager will work longest in the project. Okay, so to do that phases, so initiation is just already basically happened. So basically project manager have to, start planning, execution, and then closure, the three phases basically. Okay, and those three phases are that project manager will basically work, that is basically planning, and then execution and closing. Okay, and in the planning, so the project manager will prepare, and that is done basically before the execution starts. Okay, so planning is that kind of first thing that project manager does. So we also discuss kind of, how the project manager do their job, what they expect, like on the day 1, day 2, day 3, and first week, second week, how their that time will look like. So that we discussed that, first, for example, I did started as a basically like, project manager with a company. So I received my laptop, and then what I did, like a whole day, I set up my laptop, given a call to this, given send me along with the laptop kind of couple of pages that different steps that what I have to take. And there was also kind of a number of basically support team. Okay, so I was a little lazy, so I just given a call to the support team, and hey, I received that like laptop, and they also sent kind of a username and password to my laptop, and I didn't even tried that username and password, but I did have that username. So I just called that the support team that, hey, I received my laptop, I'm a new hire, so I will be working as a project manager, so can you help me set up my laptop? So they, okay, all right, yeah, certainly, we would love to help. So just tell me what's your name. Given the name, okay, can you give us that, the username they sent to you? Okay, did first they asked, like, did they send you as any username? Okay, I told them they yes. So they said like, okay, send tell us the user. I given them the username, then they, okay, all right, put the username on there, and we are giving you, after you put, this is the temporary password. So given me a temporary password, I entered it, logged in to the system, and then basically like opened that base mail, and then they said, kind you open this like software. They just given me kind of full-fledged that go search this like or the like WebEx or something, Zoom, and click on that, or the team, and click on it. Okay, and when I searched, so basically like they given me all that, and then they got access to my system, and they asked me like you are working as a, so you need what software you need. Okay, I told them like yeah, I will probably need that MS Project and other. They given, okay, all right, so basically they did a request in front of me from my system accessing remotely, and that's how I got my system started and initially set up. Okay, and then I opened my basically like mail, and in my mail, it was like already mail was set up. Okay, and I even have some of the mails down there from like the my hiring manager, and somebody who was basically like onboarding me. Okay, and first I did check the mails and see what's going on, and then I started reading that like the onboarding document. Okay, and I found out there are some kind of compliance trainings I have to go through. and those compliance trainings is basically like, for any new hire, that one training was about the company culture, that how is the company culture, and then was like privacy and security, how to maintain the system privacy and security, and then other trainings were about the kind of data compliance, means that not sharing data, and what are all those. And when I was working with the bank, then there was like a training on money laundering and others, or just kind of basic stuff. So this just and all trainings were kind of self-paced training. So I just went through those, and then I scheduled a meeting with the person who was basically onboarding me. So just to have meeting and ask him the questions like how the work is being done and all that, basic stuff. Okay, and do I need to create, and also do I need to create the projects, that what project I will be working and all that stuff. And they told like no, they don't know what project I will be working, but they did given me kind of overview of kind of how currently as a project manager they're performing their role. So I got to know that there was like a shared point site for the project managers, where all different projects comes, and then you have to create your own project site when you got assigned to the project. So I got that, and this is basically one first 2-3 days, like how I went through. The only that the trainings were kind of almost like 7-8 hours. So I took like 3 days to complete like 8 hours of that training, because in the training was like going through taking it slow. Okay, and usually this is how it goes with our organization. And so
I
in
have a
the
question.
sure.
Well, I have a few questions. So, are we training to be like a project manager, right?
So right now we are basically training to understand different roles. Okay, we are not just training to the right now we are performing the role, understanding the role of a project manager. Okay,
Okay,
so
but like
mhm,
okay, so like for the so what I have learned so far is that this is more of a managerial role rather than a technical role, right?
exactly, the project manager role is like the definitely more project management role, and right now it's like role has just started. Okay,
Yeah,
so
but
mhm,
no, but like so it continues. The question
mhm.
continues. So, in order to be like a project manager, you need to have like an ample experience to make decisions, like financial decisions and like other decisions, like legal decisions. You need to know how things work in the industry, right? So, how do you think like we're gonna get that experience?
That's very good question. So one another thing you need to understand, you are project manager just for this project. Okay, so the project manager, there are project manager on the business operation sides too. Okay, so those project manager are the manager who makes like decision on financial and all those aspect, and those are the project manager what you thinking in your mind. Okay, so in this the project manager, his word is just this project, the one he is working on.
Okay.
Okay, and with the financial, there is a no financial decision that this project manager has to make. Okay,
Okay.
all that the decision, and as you will go through will roll, you will learn more what decision that project manager make and how it's like goes through. But that I can make you sure, like to just to answer your question. So there is a no such decision that this project manager has to make. Yes, on the business side, the project manager, they might have that compliance decision and all those, like that they are making. Okay, so in the business side, operation side, the business side, there they have project managers too, and all those like different program manager, project managers, and all those within their organization. Okay, who are working with financial and compliance and all that stuff. Okay, here, because the end product of this project is gonna be some software or some enhancement in existing software, or some change in the existing system, or maybe implementation of new piece of some solution. So this is just focused on scope of that project, nothing less, nothing more. Make
Okay, I
sense?
understand. Yes.
Yeah, so that's why, because the scope is very limited, don't need any of that other experience to even you have, that's a good, but you don't need that experience to do your job, to finish this project. Okay, because you might use some of that skill because you have it in estimating, because here is like for the budgets, there are budgetary estimates, and budgetary estimates are what? When you talk to the stakeholder, they give you, hey, 300 hours of this person and 300 hours of this, like the person, and definitely there is a budgetary estimate that the organization within, basically, if they are working for their own organization, still they do some kind of like budgeting and the budgetary planning. So they have basically, like internally, like a project manager will be $50 per hour, a BA would be like $45 per hour, and developer, those would be like $55 per hour or so. So those are just kind of estimates on their end, so they can charge back. Okay, because these are organization, within the organization, they get the budgets too, which they spent. Okay, and so they have to, if they need more budget, or something that they don't kind of spend every budget that they have on some specific projects. Okay, so they need something that is basically like to do those estimates, and those estimates are being originated from these hours estimates. Okay, because now if you want to know, like on this hours, how many, what would be the budget, so you have a kind of their rate card. Okay, within the RT organization, plus hours, you will multiply the hours with the rate card, you will get, like for business analysis you need this many dollars, for system analysis you need this many dollar, and for development team you need this many dollar, and all those are estimates. Okay, that is coming from their estimates. Okay, and in some organization, you also supposed to keep kind of lookout of that estimates, because initially the project will have some budget assigned, and the estimates you get, then you may have a kind of additional within the organization. If the organization is a little smaller, they might have kind of additional check on that. If you will get the like budget of the project over 1 million, then you go for additional kind of financial approval, and that financial approval will be within your organization. Okay, that somebody who is funding your organization, those will do that, like the approval. So if it is less than 1 million, you might don't need to go for approval, you can move ahead. But if it is like though, and I'm talking about the estimates that are given with the stakeholders. Okay, and sometime they if it is like 2 million they're asking, and then basically organization has set up, okay, all right, if it is a more than 2 million, then instead of doing whole project, first do a pilot project up to less than 1 million. Okay, and see if it is like working, the solution is working, then go for like full-fledged. Okay, so that is kind of financial management mechanism within the organization to see that the people are not gonna spend over with on like on projects. So these different things are financially, basically, organization have set up. So making sense? Answer your question, Moise?
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, all right, so let's get back to the started with the project manager. Project manager has to do basically project execute phases, 3 phases of the project that they have to complete, and that is kind of the whole of the project. Okay, and those phases are basically planning and execution and closure. I went over like how the project manager start on the project, whole story. And then now manager got as a project manager, they told me like I will be working on a project where the team would be basically working on adding new features with their basic you can say that reservation system. Okay, with an airline, the team will be adding new features in the reservation system, and those feature. So I started working on that project. I have never worked about with the reservation system or anything about that. Okay, and as a project manager, I really don't care what it is about. I only need to know. Okay, all right. It is about what I as I will work, I will start learning on it. Okay, I don't need to have any prior knowledge on that. Okay, and that's what happened. That I started working on that, and then I created created a SharePoint site, and then basically pick up that project request document. Okay, our project charter, and added over there. And then I started working with the stakeholder, creating their list. I went through the project charter too, as I did, because I needed some information from them. And what information I needed? That some of the stakeholder information. Okay, so I got some business stakeholder information from there, and some other stakeholder technical stakeholder information from other my colleague that was helping me onboarding. Okay, so and the information that they given to me, when I talked to them, I found out they were not actually related to my project. They were the stakeholder, but they were not. In fact, they was like some other department, but they were kind enough. They given me somebody's information who was more related to my project. Okay, so this is how I navigated and got that information. Then I scheduled a meeting with them, and with one business analyst manager. That person then given me another development manager and QA manager's name too, and then I got information from him, and then given a call, send an email, schedule an invite, like a meeting with the development manager, QA manager, to get the information from them too. And what information I was getting from them, basically resource estimates, like how many hours of work of BA need to get done this project. Okay, and while I was talking, I did given them overview of project charter. Okay, and as the project charter usually contain the information about that project, what is the problem statement, stakeholder, what is the current state, and what is the future state, all that information. So it is like kind of that information I provided to them in that meeting, and that was very helpful, because then they need to know something about the project before they can estimate. And how they will know? I will present this information to them. And one of the person given me estimate right away. Other said like, hey, send me that information of project charter. I will get back to you in a day or two. Okay, so I given them access to that the SharePoint site, and send them that link. And then the third person, they did give me estimates. Okay, and this is also a scenario which happened because that business analysis manager might not have that confidence or experience to give you information right away. He might need to discuss with his team or somebody else. Okay, they might be just new like you. Okay, so they will bring the information and basically give it to you. Okay, so as I got the information of those resources, I put that into like the MS tool, or sometime you just put it in an Excel sheet, and from there, these many hours. There was a rate card too. I did put that the rate card information too, and I had a kind of estimated budget. and like the estimated basically like resources and their hours, how many weeks they would be working on the project. And at the same time, I did schedule the meeting with the business stakeholder and ask them that when they need this project to be completed, is there a deadline they have. Okay, so they given me a deadline for like November, as it is like January. So based on that deadline, there is a kind of thumb rule that 20 these phases basically. So the project execution is done in these phases. Okay, these 4 phases are for basically project execution. So there is a thumb rule that basically business analysis, it will take 15%. Okay, then system analysis will take 10%. Okay, and then programming and development, they will take 45 to 50%. Okay, and then this will take a 30 to around 35%. It is like 100. So this is basically so based on that rule, when I put and that is already basically like in like the tools that MS project. So you can put that like, okay, you starting project and then ending there, it will tell you that kind of business analysis needed to be done by this and that. And based on that, when I put the information that they provided, it got right fit into this round, that the business analysis was 20%, and this was like kind of 12%, and this was like kind of 45%, and they were asking kind of 35%. Okay, and it was making like that. Okay, so they that fit right into. So based on that, when I created the timeline, so then it has like kind of that if April 1st will be like start, so April to May, so that would be kind of and then June, then July, then August, then September, and then October. Okay, so target was October 15 was basically the target date, and as the release was November 21, that was like release date. And business analysis, it got basically done from April to May, mid-May, and then basically the system analysis that is done from like mid-April to mid-June, and mid-June the development then was from mid-June to end of August. Okay, and then the testing, that was from like last of August to second week of November. Okay, and then there was a 1 month before, basically like 15 October to 15 November was for me to have basically UAT, user acceptance testing. Okay, so this was like how the timeline was coming along. And usually this is when you put that in a project management tool, it gives like Gantt chart and other different tool like depiction, it shows this. Okay, so as this is done, then I know that okay, all right, I need to start by April 1st. So first, what is gonna start? business analysis. And who does the business analysis?
Business analyst.
Analyst. Okay, yeah, business analyst. So who is the second person to start on the project? BA, right?
Mhm.
And by then, like a mid May, okay, who is the second person who will be starting work on the
System
project?
analyst.
Yes. So system analyst. Okay, sometime data analyst or scientist or sometime architect, based on the nature of the project that who is solutioning it. So or sometime all together. Okay, so they're gonna start after the business analysis done. Okay, and then after them, as because uh until this, like, these phases are not complete, the third will not, okay, basically start. So they will start somewhere, uh like, by June 1st maybe. Okay, by mid June is the the date for kind of for system analysis or system design done. So they will start by maybe, like, as end of like May, or kind of between mid May to mid June they have to start. Okay, so as a project manager, I always want, like, that I should acquire the resources at least 15 days before their start working, so they will have enough time to onboard on the project and understand what's going on. Okay, so similarly, like, the business analyst started, the system analyst, and they are kind of sequentially gonna start. So as a project manager, my job is to acquire those resources. Okay, and we discussed, probably not everybody was there, that how the resources are acquired. So mostly the resources are acquired from their business, from their managers. Okay, business analyst manager will provide the BA, and development will manager will provide developers, and QA manager will provide the QA. In most of the organization, 90% this is that basically the case. Okay, that they already, and they hire the resources. Basically, when you are doing all this planning in probably January or February. So my like, before the planning basically I have to do by end of January, and then basically send it to everybody, send it to these managers, so they already know that they have to hire by these. Okay, because they're gonna get that budget, so these budget will be basically within my project, and then they will have resources assigned to that, then they were gonna get that budget. Okay, so basically so it's the whole system kind of, now keep working. Okay, and everybody is doing their job. So, but because I need the resources, I will keep reminding, I will put something in my calendar by 30 days before I need them, or maybe 40 days before I need them, 45 days before I need them, that reminders for to check with, hey, I will need a BA to start work on April 1st. Okay, maybe I send one email to like in end of January. Okay, then I follow up, like, by mid February, if I didn't get any response. Yeah, if they got a response that, yeah, resources will be available to you by mid March. Okay, so then, or start of March, so then I will, like, just, okay, all right, just keep following that, so they will know. Okay, because I cannot wait till last minute to ask that, hey, I need resource tomorrow, do you have resource available? Okay, so instead they can hire early and provide me early. That is, like, more towards the success of my project, instead of moving towards. So for me, I will put kind of a risk, basically risk planning. Okay, so if the resources are not hired on time, that is a risk for me. Okay, to mitigate that risk, I am following up. Okay, so as a project manager also, I manage the risk about that project. I kind of make a list of those risks and then keep working on those risks. Okay, either they occur or they don't occur. So in both case, I basically kind of keep tracking them. All right, so this is basically kind of the pre-planning. The project hasn't started execution yet, but as a project manager, I prepare all those like the project plan. Okay, and project plan usually contain that the resource plan and the hardware software resource plan, project timeline, project risks. Okay, potential risks, and like and also about that in the information, like the basic information you just copy from the the project charter, that this project charter is about this, the project is about this, and you put that information in there too. So you create a document that is basically project that is called the project charter. Okay, oh, not the project planning document, project plan. Okay, which contain all these information, that whole project plan, that what number of resources needed, and what would be when the project will start, when project will end, and what will be the milestone. So in the milestones and deliverables, these are a couple of other things that so milestone, these phases are kind of to understand that milestone, what would be the milestone. These phases are milestones, like completed one phase, that achieved one milestone. What are the deliverables? So deliverable are the BA. What is the deliverable of a BA? What document BA create? Business requirement document. Okay, so what document that the system analyst or architect or data analyst, they create together? That is system design. Okay, sometimes it's called, there are multiple names, SSD, sometimes FRD. Okay, and SSD, system specification document, FRD, functional requirement document. Okay, and use cases. Okay, or sometimes just system design document, and so these are different name for the same document. So they create one of those. So that is other deliverable. Okay, and then the development team deliverables are what? Okay, their deliverable is code and unit tested. Okay, that is their functional code. And then what is the deliverable for the QA? Test cases. Okay, and they also create their test plans too. So all those would be the document that they're gonna basically create, and those will be kind of milestone and deliverables, like the BRD. So there will be kind of within that tool, you will have what deliverable would be. That information you can put over there. Okay, so all those would be part of your basically planning document, that what you will do in like January or February, basically. And as you will finalize that, are moving towards finalizing that, then you basically like do a project kickoff meeting with all those stakeholders, and potentially if you got the BA or system analyst working on that, they might can work when their work will start. But if they are already basically within the organization, you would definitely like them to attend those meetings. Okay, why? Because so they can spend 5 hours. If I have developers and everybody that I already know that who would be working on these projects, okay, so they can log 5 hour, per week, or whatever the meeting hours, okay, against my project, and they can attend, though they should attend those meetings. That project kickoff meeting. Project kickoff meeting is basically I present all that project plan, so everybody will know basically this, like what will be the timeline, what will be deliverables, what, and they will also start getting basically a basic idea what this project is about. Okay, so the kind of the initial understanding, and that understanding doesn't have to be true, like exactly true, or 100% perfect, or even like a 10% perfect sometime, 20% sometime, doesn't have to be. It can change altogether when they will start working on that. Okay, so just keep that thought in my mind, and I will explain you guys later how. Okay, but for you that as a project manager, I would like to present everybody, all the stakeholders. Okay, so main stakeholders, the business stakeholder, and technical, they will kind of have their input. They will approve this planning. I'm showing them in there that if you need by this like a November 21 release, the project will be ready by October 15th. So we will have a wiggle room for 21 days of this, and 15 days are almost like kind of more than kind of 40 days before release. And during that, if there will be kind of, that will be kind of a cushion, act as a cushion. But there is also kind of 2 week of user acceptance testing, that whoever the project requester, they will do that testing. Okay, so they will then the stakeholder will approve that, and that will be the kickoff of the project. The next step would be execution start. That is basically this is the first step of execution, business analysis start. Okay, so that would be the next step. So now the project is like BA started working on this like the business analysis phases. Okay, what the project manager do during all those phases? So pre-execution, we are already discussed what the project manager does. Okay, now when execution is happening, what project manager does? Okay, so that and one more thing that before going to what they does, one other important component of that the project planning document is we call it communication document, communication planning. Okay, and what is communication planning? Okay, communication planning is basically it entails that who the project information needed to be communicated. Okay, means like who are the needed that information. Okay, during execution and post execution. Okay, who needed to be communicated? So that list of those people will be added in it. Okay. So with this document, that will be the purpose, to create list of those people who needed to be communicated. Okay, so that will be also part of this project plan. Okay, so now business analysts will start working. They will work with the they will do business analysis, and they will create a business requirement document. When the business requirement document is created, then system analyst and designer, architect, they will take that document and first understand it, because it will entail what is the business needs, what are the needs of the businesses. Okay, and who is going to help them understand that document? Not the stakeholder, business analyst who wrote that document. So business analyst will help them understand, and if they have any question about anything that is in the business analysis document, they will ask the BA. If the BA will have answer, then we'll let them know. But the BA is also not supposed to be like a subject matter expert of the whole business. BA is a subject matter expert for business requirement document, the document that he or she created. Okay, and if he or she don't have the answer, they know they can go back to the stakeholder and ask them that question and bring the answer to the technical team. That's like the design team. Okay, so BA then partner with them, give them information, and they prepare system design. As the system design is done, then development and testing teams joins, and development team understands both business requirements and the system design. Okay, they ask question to whom? These people who wrote that, BA and the system analyst or designer or architect. They ask question to them, and these are the folks who give development team and the testing team, QA team, overview of those documents that they prepared. And those documents are in detail. What are the business looking, what functionality they are looking, what features they are looking, and system, how the system will create or design to deliver that functionality what the business are asking. Okay, so they understand both, and then based on that they start writing their code. They basically write the codes in units, they test each unit, and then they integrate all that code to deliver those features. Okay, and that QA, they understand the business requirement and design, and they create test cases to verify that this design is fulfilling the requirement that business is asking. They verify that, and they write all those scenarios in form of their test cases. And then they when the development is done, they are ready to start the testing. They have their test cases ready. While the development is happening, the QA write test cases. Okay, so they are working on writing test cases, and the BA is just there to support them, because BA is owner of this business requirement document that he or she created. And if there is any question about any requirement, BA answers. The data analyst, they are just data analyst or system analyst or architect. They are there. If there is any design related question or anything, then they will help. But the development team, they will be doing the coding and they will be doing their unit testing. And when the testing starts, QA start executing those test cases. Okay, and if they find any defect, any functionality is not working as it's supposed to be working according to the business need or system design, if it is not working, they create a defect, and then development team go and fix that defect. So they, like developer and the QA, work hand in hand, like back and forth. They create defects, they fix it, they retest it, and then pass it and move on. So just like that, that's like the testing happens. And when the testing is complete, then the software is ready for basically for the user to use. Okay, so before that, last step is basically, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, it's a lot to take in, like, for just one day.
Right. So that's why I'm just giving you this kind of a summary, and we're gonna basically go in detail. So right now, before I'll say you that what's the project manager gonna do while this is happening. So I'm giving you kind of a story what is happening, so that you will basically understand better what the project manager role would be. and how it is not conflicting with that basically like solution and what they are doing. Okay. All right. So just, and don't worry, we are gonna repeat that many times, and we're gonna kind of go in more detail. So it will be okay. So right now, if nothing making sense to you, just little bit is making. That's what our basically like kind of success criteria. So right now, just right. If it is making sense while I'm telling you, that's the success criteria. That means like we are heading towards the right direction. Okay. All right. So business analyst, they did their job, created business requirement document. System analyst, designer, they did their job, they created system design. And then developer, they did their job, they wrote the code and tested the code, and then they deliver it to the QA already have their test cases which they wrote while the development was happening, and they executed those test cases, and if any defect they found, they got it fixed from the development, and then the product is basically ready for the users. Before it goes to the user, there is like one last step that has to complete. That is a user acceptance. We call it like user acceptance testing. Like before we give anything to user, we ask them to kind of hey, test this, like kind of test drive, you can say. Okay. And we call it like user acceptance testing. Or my ignore my spelling. So and are simply UAT. Okay. So when the UAT testing done, then basically after that project get closed. Okay. So while all these activities happening, then what's the project manager doing? So remember, in the project manager, there was a communication plan. So and there is a risk management plan. Okay. There were two plans: communication plan and the risk management plan when project manager was doing the planning. Okay. So these are basically the main thing that project manager does while project is getting executed. And communication plan, how that implement, like every like 2 week, 30 to 45 minute meeting. Every it can be like a weekly or weekly, and that is called basically like status meeting. And who are the invitee? Who would be the invitee for that?
Stakeholders.
Stakeholders.
Yeah. So the list of the people that the project manager created, yes, stakeholder, it would be like project team. That will be optional, but they will be added as an optional. And then would be list of people. Okay. The list that was in the communication plan, all those folks, because these mostly would be kind of a business stakeholders. Okay. Who were just kind of needed to be informed that hey, project right now going, and right now we are in the business analysis phase, and this is what is happening, and this is, and then what are the current risks currently, like potential risks are those, and there is no current risk, or if there is the current risk that the business analysis may kind of linger on because we are not getting this thing, or requirements got like kind of scope got enhanced, that's why there is like this risk. And so basically bringing up any risk and how the project health is basically there. So that is every weekly or bi-weekly project manager does that meeting. Okay. And then work with attend all the meetings that is happening, and to catch if there is any risk that comes into play. Okay. Just sitting back and listening what's going on, and if you feel like that they are having showing any concern about like the project timeline, a risk to your timeline or something, then you basically start asking question and talking. Okay, what first you understand what the risk is, note down the risk, and then ask them what is the mitigation. Okay, they will tell you, okay, all right, yeah, we don't have this one. If we will get this one, then we will be fine, because we discovered that this thing initially this was our idea, but as we dig into, we found out that we don't have that data available. So that is basically the now either we have to create that, or maybe that will increase the scope of the project, blah 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 blah, anything that can be. Okay, they're gonna tell you, okay, and you're gonna ask question, and then put out some statement for your understanding that what the risk is. Okay, so they are the people who are gonna explain you the risk. Either it's like a business analyst, or system analyst, or data architect, or whatever. They will give you the rationale what the risk is. Okay, and after you understanding, you put that in the list, and then you what are the potential basically like solution. Okay, you note down those potential solution too, because when you are gonna basically in the status meeting and talk about that risk, then potential solution, they might ask that if we will get that information from the BA, or somebody from the database team, then we would be like, oh, okay, and who from the database team, you ask those questions to them, and they will look, database team is this, that person is in the database team. So then basically you got that information to make contact them, that hey, my team is having this issue, and how you guys can help, can you guys help, and what if you, yes, and how, and all that, kind of basically you are mitigating that risk by working on behalf of team on that. Okay, and that's basically what all you do during when the the project is on flight. If there is any risk comes, bringing out the risk, if any basically, and keeping the status update. Okay, and when the basically UAT is done, then after that you basically close all those estimates into actuals. Basically initially you did a project planning where the resources estimated and all that, you put actual how many hours were basically 3,000 hours were developing, the total hour consumed were 2,800, and 800 hours of the BA, the total work consumed 560, and the day the QA 300 were in 1,800 were estimated, 2,000 were consumed, and this is the final, okay, actual. And then you basically submit all those paperwork, and that is basically end of that project. Okay, so this is basically one role of a project manager. Okay, and then next day we will start the business analyst role, but I will ask you guys to create your own create your basically how the project, as a project manager, you are working on a project, pick up one project, hypothetical project, or even it's kind of project of making kind of birthday dinner. Okay, how that project got executed, means any type of projects. It doesn't have to be some business project, or if you can, that's very good, but if cannot, you can make as simple as any projects, project for some, your kids gets project, so they do all those things, basically what we discussed. When your kids get project from school, they do all those things. They do the planning, they do the pre-planning, they do the sourcing. Okay, for example, some art project, if they have, what they do, okay, then they first basically understand what are the needs, what they need to do. They do the pre-planning. They need kind of give you a list of stuff. They need this much this type of paper, these need this type of they need color pencils, these type of they need scales and blah blah blah. Whole that is all their pre-planning. Okay, and then when they have a timeline too. They have to submit that by end of Friday. So they have timeline. They work on that timeline. Okay, and then they basically whatever they have to draw, they do all that. I'm just giving you a kind of a basically analogy. The same way you guys have done many projects in your life. Okay, and now you just have to translate that project into something that is how that was done. Okay, or maybe something, if you can do that, if you are from IT side, that will be fine. But right now, just kind of a role of a project manager, that's what we need to basically you guys to basically work on and create a sketch of that. And we can have you guys present that role tomorrow, maybe like 5 minutes, everybody quickly in the beginning to present that role. And that role doesn't have to be perfect. You can have 5-4 things over here and I can explain. Okay, and that's it. Doesn't have to be kind of a perfect, and you don't have to kind of murder yourself to okay, this is assignment. No, it's just take it easy, create your understanding so far what we have went through, and tell me your story that I did this project and this is I did pre-planning. This is what I did in pre-planning, and then I created these things, and then how that project executed, and when the project was executed, and then this is what I did. Okay, can you guys do that?
We
Yes.
will try.
Okay, all right, that's all I want to hear. So let's I will also send you guys the link today. I'm sorry I didn't send the last meeting link, I forgot, but I'll send you that link for today, so you can basically watch that too. And then basically a lot of stuff will be repeated when you will kind of watch it. Okay, and also one last thing, when you are doing your work or watching this, any question comes to your mind, I will request you to write down a question. Okay, write down that all those questions that comes into mind, and do ask those questions when we are having a meeting. Okay, if you can do that, then I can guarantee you will be a kind of very successful. Okay,
Okay.
all right. Okay, then good night. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Good night. Thank you.